What's up, YouTube streets? This is your girl here, Kiki Speaks, and I'm back for another review for Summer House Martha's Vineyard season 2 finale episode 9, right? Just to give you guys a quick review. If you hear a little congestion, your girl is sick, so bear with me through this, right? Okay, but anyway, the episode picks up where it left off, where Nick is talking to Bria. They're going back and forth about things being said about him behind his back with messy ass Natalie, uh, where she was going to let Tasia know about Nick being handsy with the girls in the house, right? In that moment, I just wished everyone had been honest about this whole Nick being handsy situation, as well as others creating uncomfortable settings in the house, right? What I mean by that is Summer and or Jordan being like, whatever went on between me and Nick, we talked about it with Nick. We discussed it. We resolved it. No one else should be addressing it at all, because it's no one else's business. Someone could have mentioned how Shanice's nakedness and flirtatious remarks towards Nick could be deemed uncomfortable as well. On top of Bria asking Nick to be her sleep support just days prior to that, which means sleep support, come sleep and take a nap with her in her bed. Um, Ridiculous comments about him. If you feel he would never or would be so down to, hooking up with somebody else while he's still in the relationship, if it was presented to him, why would you put yourself in that situation where he could possibly come on to you in that manner if he was your sleep support? Bria, asking for a friend. And lastly, what everyone should have spoken up about and been honest about is how all of this information, some truth and lies, were ran back to Nick by messy ass Natalie. She should have been confronted at the moment. She should have been confronted at the moment, and Nick should have directed some of that smoke towards Natalie when he was talking to Shanice, Noel, and Bria about it. But of course, at that time, nobody had actually fessed up and said to Nick himself, hold on. She said that she wanted to be the one to go back. We told her not to do it, but she insisted on going to tell um, Tasia about whatever was going in the house because Tasia was her friend. Now, y'all know, I said this once, I said it twice, and I'm going to say it again. Natalie is not Tasia's friend. Just because you hang out with somebody a couple times doesn't mean that you guys are cool. People are starting to use that word a little too loosely. Just because you guys hang out, we friends now. Mm. If that was your friend, you would knew not to go talk to her on camera and let her business be all over national TV. Although it was already going to be on national television, whether you spoke to her on camera or not. Anyway, I just feel like Natalie went completely unchecked in that moment the whole time she was there, actually. Then Amir goofy ass in the confessional talking about he's glad Nick is yelling at Shanice, Noel, and Bria and not at Natalie because he wouldn't have stood for Nick talking to his girl like that. Bruh, please. Please. He should have been talking to messy ass Natalie too, because she started that whole thing. And I do appreciate Noelle making peace by standing by what she said ultimately, but at the same time, she made sure to apologize to Nick for how it was relayed to him. And I think it was the right thing to do. And she was the only one who actually apologized to him. So good for Noelle. After Bria walks away and tells Simon what was happening inside, saying that Nick is being defensive, so he must be guilty. We could say the same thing about you, Bria. No, Nick is being defensive because the shit going around about him, making women feel uncomfortable, is destroying his character in a sense. In this day and age, that's not something you play around with, in my opinion. Just the mention of that can discredit someone and could forever be held against them, whether they did it or not. Again, that's my opinion. Um, that's why I was glad when it was initially brought to Nick's attention through Preston that he went directly to Jordan and Summer and talked about it and, you know, resolved it quickly. He didn't let it linger around. He didn't want it to feel, he didn't make it seem like they were actually talking about him. I appreciate him addressing things head on when it's brought to his attention rather than just, you know, brushing over it or just letting it be, because it does affect his character and it does make him look bad. But kudos to Nick. Anyway, um, but yeah, it was just crazy. This whole conversation had that was had this was it was just out of line for Bria Noel and Shanice, and especially messy ass Natalie to be having that conversation about him. Anyway, Alex goes to talk to Bria in her room while Simon's asleep in bed with his ass out. And Bria makes sure she puts the blanket over his ass because Alex was sitting down by the door, which was directly across from the bed, and Simon's ass was basically somewhat in his face. um, but anyway, Alex convinces Bria to go back downstairs to resolve the issue with Nick and just dead it. Just get it all out on the table and just come to a resolution with it. Bria lets it be known that she does not talk about Nick. That's a lie. The lies, the lies, the lies, as Candy Burris would say. Girl, you talk about Nick. It seems like you talk about everybody in the house for the most part. I'm not gonna say every single person, but for the most part, you got something to say about almost everybody, and seem to slightly, when it's brought to your attention, you play the defense mode. In my opinion, I see we're still not going to own up to being messy, playing your part in that, because Natalie basically threw you guys bones, and you seem to be the only one who actually bit. Noelle did too, but she didn't make it come off, or from what it looks like, she didn't make it seem like, you know, Nick was heavily on her, trying to get with her, or anything like that. By Bria saying what she said about Nick, like if it was presented to him that he would be down to, I don't know, that's really messy and that's really messed up. But anyway, I feel like Messy Natalie got most of her information from Bria, and I'm sure she got some information from her messy ass boyfriend too. The next morning, Simon and Natalie leave. Bye, thank you, please don't come back. Amir makes a point of saying in the confessional that he's sad about Natalie leaving. We're not sad. Because he feels like his fun is leaving too. I wish he would have left with her. Um, yeah, he didn't have to overly be concerned about indulging in too much fun because Natalie was there with him. Now that she's leaving, he has to go back to tempering himself in order to continue building trust with Natalie. Amir, bruh, you're really coming off like a simp. A simpleton is what that means. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful, as if like, you know, you want your girlfriend to respect you. Okay, you want her respect as well. I say that because your girlfriend is insecure and jealous of the woman in the house, or just insecure in general, and jealous of Jordan, right? Because of what you said. And please, and I feel like you have to please her by scaling back, enjoying yourself all the way back, or she's going to feel like you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, right? While she's not around. She seems like she's the type of girl who calls you on the phone and she can hear you having a good time with your friends and stuff and gets upset that you're having a good time, and probably sometimes goes out and just does the most because she feels like you're having a good time, so let me go out and have a good time, kind of thing. That's my opinion. I mean, I feel like he has to tiptoe around his relationship a lot. It seems like that way. Going about your relationship in that way, you will forever be a simp and she will stay insecure. But that's none of my business. That's none of my business. I'm just here to review. Noelle and Jasmine talk about Summer, and Noelle says she still believes that Summer isn't being authentic. She's not being real about what's really going on with her. Therefore, Noelle is going to continue to keep her distance from Summer. I feel like Noelle is standing her ground when it comes to keeping her distance from Summer until she figures things out and clear her energy. But I also think she's taking it a little overboard. Yes, Summer was absolutely messed up for the Alex thing and not being 100%, you know, honest on that, and absolutely messed up for coming at Noelle the way she did and putting her hands on Noelle. But it is something you are partially responsible for, just partially, just like a little tiny bit. Noelle got in the mix of things and she should have stepped back way before the push happened in Shanice's room that night. Was that the night of Freak? I believe that was the night of Freaknik. Noelle should have definitely took a step back before then when she realized that something was not quite right with Summer. In my opinion, you gave someone who, in all reality, was not your friend too much grace. She gave her too much grace. Once you know this old girl was, wasn't who you believed she was to be, you should have took a step back. When you noticed that, I think you noticed that really early on, but you wanted to just, be a friend to her because she was obviously going through something, and it just didn't she just didn't seem quite right. So you wanted to make sure that you were there, but sometimes when people are going through their shit, you got to take a step back in order for them to figure it out before they hurt you, and you got caught in the crossfire with that. So, yeah. Alex is planning an event called Fill the Space with drinks and painting and live music, and I love it. I wish I could go to something like that where I could just sit down, in the grass or on the beach and listen to live music. Like, it's a whole vibe. You have some drinks, some food, and you're just painting away, and it's just like a whole vibe. I love things like that. I would love to go to something like that. I gotta look up some events. Maybe they have some stuff in the city. Everyone paints and sips as Alex and his band serenades the group. Shanice, you make me wonder why all you want to do is have a good time dancing, drinking, and clubbing. Like, what is that about? Like, why? Why is that your only idea of fun? I wonder. You're in your 30s now, I believe. I believe Shanice is in her 30s now because they said that Amir and Bria were the youngest, and I believe at the time of this, they were like 27, 28. So Shanice, you're probably like 29, 31 maybe. Um, I feel like now that you're in your 30s, you should be experiencing different activities of fun because you won't be able to, club and do all of that drinking and dancing till 5 o'clock in the morning forever. You have to grow up and look forward to having different options of fun, or just be open to different things when it comes to that. Like, when you want to just vibe out, you don't have to vibe out by just taking shots all night. Like, what is that about? Anyway, they start showing, you know, who drew what, and they go one by one. So they show a few of them. They don't show everybody's, but they show a few. Nick drew waves as an overflowing of love. Summer painted a flow of waves of life. Basically, um, it was dark. It was like dark paints to lighter colors, and it basically flowed back and forth with one another, because she said that's pretty much how life is. Sometimes things could be really dark, but it has a chance to go back into the light, and vice versa. Very very deep. Amir painted a lighthouse to remember this summer. Bye, boo. Jordan painted mirroring waves, where basically either way you turn it, it will be the same picture. So that was basically it. After the event, Summer decides that she wants to leave the house with only 2 days left. Um, I wonder why, but the situation of it all just was way too heavy, and she just doesn't want to continue to make anyone feel uncomfortable any longer. So she wants to leave the house. Summer saw that not only Noelle, but also Shanice and Bria weren't messing with her like that. And barely, not for nothing, after that situation with Jordan, I barely saw her around Jordan like that. Even Preston, like they had their conversations or whatnot, but you barely saw them together as their threesome like they used to be. Or was did they call it a threesome, or I forgot, a throuple, something like that. But you barely saw the three of them together after that situation took place with Summer and Jordan that night after the club. But yeah, Summer said that she doesn't want to stay any longer because she doesn't want to make anyone feel comfortable, and she just wants to deal with her situation back at home with her nana being sick, and then trying to figure out who her father is. She just has a lot going on, and she'd rather just deal with it back at home. It just felt odd. I'm sure she felt uncomfortable being there anyway after the situation with Bria and Shanice and Noel that night. She just felt out of place, and being not the only sober one in the house, but sober while being in the house. It probably just didn't feel right to her to stay even for the last 2 days, so she decided to leave. The next day or the next morning, Amir and Nick go golfing. And I believe it's because Amir wanted to get information about what the girls had said to Nick the night before about Natalie's involvement, and if Natalie actually shared with them that he was, Amir was actually involved in the bullshit as well, because they haven't brought that up either, that Amir knew what Natalie was going to do or what was said, and he was actually telling her, yeah, tell Nick, or yeah, say this or say that. Yeah, you should definitely go to tell Tasia about that. Like, he wasn't trying to stop her at no point after she brought that situation up to Amir. So he's probably trying to fill out the whole situation from Nick, and wonder if Natalie actually told the girls if his name was mentioned, and he also wants to know how much did the girls say about Natalie's involvement. So to start it off, which I found so annoying, Amir asked, how did Tasia like having Natalie at the house? Who gives a That is not her friend. That's not her friend. Again, if she was, Natalie wouldn't have run her mouth about Nick to begin with if that was her friend. To be honest, like, this situation probably wouldn't have even taken place if Natalie wasn't running her mouth along with Bria, Noel, and Shanice about Nick. If Tasia was her friend, in my opinion. Um, the way she did it, and wouldn't have tried to run information about Nick being handsy back to Tasia, the way she did it in front of everyone, like, it was just a complete mess. That's not her friend. If anything, she tried to embarrass Tasia. in my personal opinion. No one enjoyed messy ass Natalie Amir except you. Bye. And talking to the girls the night before, Nick sees that he should have went off on Natalie about it, and because they weren't the ones planning on running back to Tasia to tell her anything, it was all Natalie. I was so glad he was able to get that clarity with them. In his confessional, Amir is saying Natalie was going by girl code because the girls were going to tell Tasia what Nick's been up to, and Natalie just wanted to give Tasia a heads up because they're friends. That's not her friend. They're not friends. They're not friends. Messy ass Natalie is not Tasia's friend. If they truly were friends, Natalie would not have tried to put Tasia out like that on national television. Shut up, Amir. Summer begins to head out. She says her goodbyes to everyone except Nick, Amir, and Noel because Nick and Amir are still golfing while she's on her way out. And when also she asks Preston to tell them goodbye for her, and Noel just isn't seeing it for Summer. So when Jasmine texts her to let her know that Summer was leaving, did she want to come downstairs to say goodbye? Noel simply said no. She texts her back and said no. I thought it was a bit messed up. Noel did that. I mean, yeah, she has every right to keep her distance from Summer after tornado Summer ripped through the house and damn near her too. But you can't just be cordial and bid her adieu. I don't know, Noel. I don't know. Milo goes missing. When he overhears he'll be attending boarding school next summer. So he goes off, running out the gate unbeknownst to Bria. They soon realize Milo is missing and begin searching for him. Everyone, including Nick, set out to look for Milo. Bria asks who left the gate open, and Mira says, yeah, it's never her fault, excuse me. It's never her fault. And unfortunately, I agree with him. Bria, Milo is your dog. He is your responsibility. No one else's. Milo is missing for a good 36 minutes before returning. Please put that dog in a boarding house next season. I'm sorry. He cute. He cool. Nice little, you know, pet for the house, but Milo brings a little bit of an issue in my personal. Later that evening, Bria and Shanice are cooking dinner, and Amir says he needs to understand why messy ass Natalie's name keeps coming up or was brought up in conversations with Nick when she's not here to defend herself. Amir, I believe you had a conversation with your messy ass girlfriend after going golfing with Nick and told her that the girls had a conversation with Nick, and she told you that you need to defend her because she's not there to defend herself. Because I believe at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if Bria tells you that Natalie set that whole thing up or not, you're going to believe Natalie. Why do you need clarity? And Bria giving him the clarity he desperately asks for when he asks those questions, Amir starts to get upset because Bria is yelling at him. Instead of listening and talking or taking it in, what is being said, he is now yelling, "Stop yelling at me." And I laughed my ass off at Alex. When Alex imitated Amir in his confessional, it was funny as hell. It was so funny. It was the best thing Alex did all season, no lie. Sorry, Alex, but it was the best thing you did all season. And Nick This was hilarious. And Nick jumping in to get Bria under control and to act more mature. Bria then calls him Urkel, and I damn near fell the out, bro. But eventually, Amir gets up and walks away angrily once Bria tells him that he needs to take accountability for his messy ass broad. And she is 100%. She's 100% right. Just like Preston said, Amir asked questions and he didn't like the answers that he got, which is why he decided to get up and walk away. On their full last day, Nick, Alex, Amir, and Shanice go biking the next morning and they talk about Amir and Bria's argument the night before. Alex lets it be known to Amir that it did not, and it does not look cool when men are arguing with women. It doesn't. He says once things got heated or voices were raised, that he should have just got up and walked away. And Shanice agrees and tells Amir that when Bria gets like that, to just disengage and walk away. I agree with that. I agree with that because Bria does a lot, and sometimes she does go from 0 to 100 quickly if she does not like the subject that's being brought up or the conversation that is being had. So sometimes, in order to not, put yourself in that position where you're arguing back and forth with somebody who's not going to listen to you, who's just so into what they believe to be the truth, and they're not budging on the conversation that needs to be had, then it is best to just walk away and maybe let her actually take in, okay, I'm going to have this conversation. Let's just get down to the bottom of it once everything is kind of cooled. Um, but I could also understand Bria's frustration with talking to Amir the night before because not for nothing, we've been over this multiple times. Like your girlfriend played the part in it and she did not own up to anything that she did or said in that conversation while the rest of us sat there and or stood there and just, got chewed up by Nick. Like it was very frustrating, and I agree with Bria that his girlfriend needs to take accountability. If she's not going to do it, then he needs to do it for her because she's not here and you call yourself defending her while she's not here. So let's do it. Anyway, back at the house, Jordan, Noel, Jasmine, and Bria are actually sitting down at the table talking about soulmates. They talk about believing in having more than one soulmate, which I do believe to be true. You could definitely have more than one soulmate. I do not necessarily believe a soulmate is strictly someone you have to be in a romantic relationship with, but it could just be a person, someone who's could be a platonic relationship as well. Jasmine says that she believes she has a second soulmate out there, but she's just too busy to look for him. Oh, damn. That was a little. Mm, I'm going to leave that one alone, Jasmine. Moving along. Jordan then asks Bria if she believes Simon is her soulmate, and Bria says no. She believes that her and Simon will get married, but does she believe Simon is her soulmate? No, because her soulmate is in Tribeca. So in this instance, Bria is letting us know she's not really in love with Simon like that. She knows who she's really in love with, and it's some dude in Lower Manhattan. That's what she's telling me. That's what I got, in my opinion. She's letting us know she's in love with some dude in Lower Manhattan that who probably doesn't have his shit all the way together. So she's going to wait it out with Simon until the dude in Tribeca finally comes up and finally comes through the way that she needs him to come through. Okay, I got it. That's my opinion. I think it's true. That night, as a last hurrah, Jasmine plans dinner on the beach so they can wrap up the summer in a nice little bow with some food, drinks, and final laughs. They play a game where they pick up a name from the seashells who they then have to imitate. My favorite was how Bria was spot on with Jordan. She said no words, just made faces, did hand gestures, and summed Jordan up in one whole season. One whole season. It was a really great dinner scene, finally, right? Because every dinner scene that we've had this whole season seems like it's ending and screaming, somebody crying and chaos. I don't know. The next morning, everyone is packing up to go back to their homes and saying goodbye. Jasmine goes into the truth booth slash confessional, and she talks about how she entered the house not knowing where she stood with anyone in the house, and knowing that there were friendships that she needed to repair from last season, on top of being pregnant and having to go through the journey of it basically on her own, because Silas is deployed at the time. And then as soon as she's saying that, the rest of the housemates come into the truth booth to show Jasmine love, and I guess to let her know that she's not alone. They end their time on a good note, and it was nice. It was cute. I feel like they kind of rushed it, but it was nice. But we get a clip that 6 months later of Jasmine giving birth to her and Silas's son, Silas Jr., and then Silas surprising her 16 hours after she gave birth, um, which was such a sweet moment, and it was such a sweet way to end the season. It was a beautiful clip. Blessings to them and their new addition to their family. And that was the season finale of Summer House Martha's Vineyard, season 2. Um, we will I will be back next week, or not next week. I will be back for the reunion, which I cannot wait to get into. I've been following and watching some of the cast on social media. It looks good. Some I can't wait to dive into the BS. Until then, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and please be sure to share with your friends and your family. And this is Kiki Speaks, and I'm out. Peace.